Welcome to the Hosting Overload YouTube channel. In this video we'll be discussing the basics of what is web hosting. So hope you follow along with me. So web hosting, as you probably know, is a service of providing cloud storage space or just storage space for a website that is connected to the internet. Users will typically buy storage space and be provided a web hosting service as a package. Different users will require different configurations and resources. Okay, so how much does web hosting cost? It costs anything from $1 to $1,000+ per month. In my last 2 decades of hosting websites and forums and e-commerce stores, I've paid anything from $1 a year to $10, $100, $500 per year. So that works out to $10, $20, $30 a month. Depends on the host, the package, and what I need. So in future videos, I'll go over what to look for in the packages and what my recommendations of hosting. As I said earlier, no two users will be the same. Everyone has their own requirements and needs. So for example, hobby users just working on a WordPress website, for example, will have different needs compared to an e-commerce store or business users. So what should you look for when looking for a web host? So again, it depends on what you need and what you're going to be using it for. So a hobby site could even use the hosting I mentioned earlier for I got hosting for $1 for a year. So it's a very cheap basic package, but I can install a WordPress site and if I had a new company, I could just host a website on there. And yeah, it does the job, it works. I think I even got email with it. Or if you want to move up a little bit more, you can spend a couple of dollars a month and get some mid-range hosting. Again, it just depends on what you need it for. Also, how many sites you want to host and how many visitors you'll be expecting, because a lot of hosts nowadays are moving towards the maximum number of or total number of visits per month, as more visits means more resources used. So if you've got a very busy website, lucky you, but then you'll need to have more resources allocated to your account. An e-commerce site would probably be better suited to a VPS, a dedicated server, or some sort of dedicated hosting, because e-commerce tools like WooCommerce, Magento, they do need a lot more resources to run a lot of the tasks and actions, and it can be very resource intensive. At the end of the day, your budget will decide what resources you'll get with your hosting package. So if you want to just start off with a cheap one, then you'll have very few resources, but you'll have a functional site. If you've got a decent budget, you can get mid-range hosting and have a very fast site. And if you've got some money on your side and you want to spend money on your business, whatever, you can get very good hosting and have a very good package. Okay, so it doesn't matter where I host my site. Now, I'm actually in the UK, so I've written here yes and no, because when I first started hosting almost 2 decades ago, I solely had UK-based hosting because 95% of my visitors were from the UK. And yeah, things weren't just, it wasn't as easy as it is now to just branch out and get hosting all over the world. So in my case, my site had mostly UK visitors and only a small proportion were from the US, so UK hosting was fine and it didn't make any difference to my site speed. And yeah, so yeah, that's fine. But if you've got a good share of traffic from the UK, Europe and the US, then you can use something called a content delivery network, or CDN, to deliver your content around the world. Now, I'll discuss this more in another video, but it's basically a premium service with your host, but there are other options where they replicate your content, so your images, your big files, and they replicate it into multiple zones around the world, so it will be hosted on multiple servers around the world. And then just say you're hosting in the UK and you've got a visitor in the US, instead of them making a request to your hosting in the UK and taking up a lot of resources, the CDN will direct them to the US and they'll get to access the main files from that server, and it will be some of the script files will be from the UK server still. But what I've noticed when I start using a CDN is that I save 90% of my memory resources and CPU resources by using a content delivery network. It actually saved me a lot of money with my hosting, because I could go for cheaper hosting, but I used a certain CDN network to deliver a lot of my big files, and it took a big load off my server. Okay, so do I need email? Now, I've noticed nowadays hosts are not always giving you email as an included service. Some hosts, and including some that I'm going to be reviewing, they offer it as a separate service or not at all. Now this is mainly due to spam and reputation management, IP management and all that, because there's so much spam nowadays. And people sometimes just join a host for 1 month, abuse the host, abuse the email, and don't forget there's a lot of people sharing the IP address, sharing the server. So if it gets a bad reputation for spam, all the domains and everyone using the IP will be affected. So that is why you have to be careful where you host your site. It may be worth investing in a separate email delivery service to deliver your emails and receive emails. You can set up an external SMTP service and connect to your site for email delivery. Or you can use G Suite or Zoho or many others. Okay, so what's next? So over the coming days and weeks, I've got a whole load of reviews, recommendations, how-tos on the best web hosting. So my passion is WordPress. I've been using WordPress for a couple of years now, and I've switched over nearly all of my sites to WordPress. So I focus mainly on WordPress, but I've also got history with Magento and e-commerce stores. Magento is a very popular but resource-hungry e-commerce cart. And also there's PrestoCart, OpenCart, and several others. So I'll do some reviews and set up for all of these ones. But again, yeah, they're more resource-hungry, so you will need a slightly better hosting package. I'll go over email and hosts that give email for free, hosts that don't give email, and how to set up email. I'll go through recommended hosting for business sites, portfolio sites, VPS and dedicated servers, and also gaming servers. So stay tuned, subscribe, and keep an eye out over the next few days and weeks. I've got quite a few videos coming and just in the process of recording them. So make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.